There's a growing trend these days for people to move away from bikes like this, a high-performance sports machine, for a number of reasons. One is that they're becoming increasingly difficult and expensive to insure, and two is people want to hang on to their licences. They've realised that they can have just as much fun but at lower speeds. They're moving to machines like this. And this sits in what is now the fastest growing sector of the bike world. It is, of course, a Supermoto. This is the latest Supermoto to come out of the CCM stable in Blackburn, Lancashire. A 600cc Rotax-powered bundle of fun. Riding the R30 gives you a feeling of invincibility. It makes you feel king of the road. Sat high up behind the wide rental fat bars with zero wind protection becomes very addictive. It handles superbly with the 17-inch wheels at either end shod with some nice sticky rubber. Big singles are all about low-down torque, and this has got bags of it. It's great fun whacking the throttle and seeing the front wheel head skywards. Now, CCM may be a British firm, but the R30 isn't quite a true British thoroughbred. So let's have a look at the bits that are homemade back in Lancashire. Well, basically all the metalwork, all the bits that need welding. For example, the frame, they make this full frame, which has got a beautiful finish on it and really very nicely, very classily put together. That's made back in the factory. The swing arm, nice fancy polished swing arm, that's made there. The side stand, basically all the big metalwork that they need to weld up, that's all made in-house back in Lancashire. Other stuff is made specifically for CCM in the UK, so them parts are British as well. But there's a lot of it that's made all over Europe. For example, the motor. There it is, it's a Rotax engine, single cylinder, 4-valve, 4-stroke motor, pumps out about 55 brake horsepower. That certainly wasn't made in Lancashire, we know that. And there's bits of Europe all over this bike. The wheels, very nice wheels on this, they're Gramica, so they're made in Spain. Front suspension, front forks are white power. The rear monoshock again is white power. We know all about white power, all good stuff. Really, it's made all over the place. I have to say though that CCM have come an awful long way in a short time, because you might recall probably a couple of years ago or so I rode one of their new models at the time called the Roadster, and I criticised it quite strongly, particularly up here, up at the dashboard end. I said it was unfinished and it didn't have the little luxuries that we expect to find when we're paying over 5,000 quid for a new machine. It didn't even have a neutral indicator and it drove me mad. Well, now we've got neutral indicators. We've got a neutral indicator, turn indicator, high beam, we've got a rev counter, speedo, all the little things that, after all, they're not luxuries, they're just things we would expect to find on a bike when we're paying a few thousand quid for it. The switchgear now is much better than it was before. The choke used to be up here on the bars and it was horrible and fiddly. Now it's over here on the left-hand side where we would expect to find it. In fact, they seem to have taken on board all the little criticisms that not just me but a lot of people made of the bikes of a couple of years ago, and they weren't only little criticisms, but they've put them right. They've got it all absolutely spot on now. Even things like the little pillion pegs at the back there, the way they fold into these little cutouts, these little brackets here that hold them. It's just nice. They've done a really good job. I'd recommend anybody to try a Supermoto, and in fact CCM themselves do just that. They've been running a series of Supermoto track days for which they've recently won an award from the Motorcycle Press. It's a different style of riding. It's not quite off-road and not quite sports bike. It can be as exciting and frantic as you like, or you can relax and enjoy the big thumping single-cylinder motor. The R30 is a very functional machine. It's not packed with the latest technology and fancy gizmos, a case of having everything you need in bucketfuls, but with no silly frills or gimmicks. You might never have considered a bike like this, but don't knock it until you've tried it. So what will it cost you then to be an R30 owner? Well, for the basic bike it will cost you just over £5,200, plus some on-the-road charges, which takes it up then to just over £5,400. But it doesn't need to finish there, because there are quite a number of extras now available for this R30, including a big bore kit. Well, not really a big bore kit, it's a factory fitted kit, and it takes the basic engine, which is 600cc, up to 640cc. It might not improve the brake horsepower significantly. Well, it doesn't add much to it, to be honest with you. But what it does, it gives you a lot more torque. It makes the motor much more grunty, low down, and that's what big singles are all about. Obviously, it's available in 3 different colour options: lime green, black, or my favourite, a nice classy looking silver one. And this black one in the middle, has actually got a low seat on it. This is a low seat version, which is just about 2 inches lower, which might not sound very much, but you can notice it when you sit on it. And as you look through the bikes there, you can see it is lower. So if you've never been on a Supermoto, have a go on one, borrow one, go and get yourself a test ride on one, and I'm sure you'll agree with me that you can have just as much fun on one of these as you can on any big superbike, but at much lower speeds.